Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your 2018 December general reading. I'm Princess India if we haven't met. But pretty sure you guys have cross-watched by now, but you know. Everything's in the description box below, including your coupon code to get a discount on a reading with me this month because it's our birthday month. And the live read is going to be on the 22nd. I should know that. On the 22nd of December, which is the channel's birthday. You know what I'm saying? So anywho, I'm going to start your reading with my surrender deck, and we're going to look at overall energies for you guys for the month of December and what things would behoove you to embrace or release going into 2019. Because I like to look at December as a month of preparation for the changes that we intend to make in January. So Spirit, go ahead and give us some things that, I was about to say Sagittarius, what is going on? That Scorpio, I'm so sorry Scorpio, talking about fire signs all in your reading and things. My apologies. Maybe some of y'all like Sagittarius. I don't know. But anything that Scorpio needs to know, Spirit, that they shall release or embrace, leaving out of 2018 going into 2019. Oh, Pisces had that. That's interesting. So the first card that we have is Surrender Denial. And it says, accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties. You can see things clearly and make the best decisions. Next, we have Surrender Your Belief in Scarcity, or as I like to call it, a lack mentality. The universe is asking you to open up to the infinite nature of abundance. In this way, you can remove blocks in your life and succeed beyond your wildest dreams. Next, we have Surrender to the Wisdom of Your Body. And it says, listen to your body's messages about a person or situation. If you feel physically drained or uncomfortable, be cautious. If you are energized and happy, move forward. Interesting. Next, surrendered. I've been talking all day, y'all. My mouth, and then it's Mercury retrograde. Like, Lord only knows what's going to come out of my mouth in this reading. Surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. That's what I intended to say. Let go of limiting ideas about yourself that originate from the past. Then you can own your power and soar in your life. And lastly, surrender to miracles. Be open to miracles occurring in your life. Feel and know that these events are real. Let go of any resistance and banish any doubt that miracles can happen. That's very interesting. The first thing that comes to mind for me is Scorpio is dealing with the ability to see their truth. It's an inability to see the beauty of who you are. And a lot like Pisces, it's rooted in past outdated beliefs, right? And a lack mentality in the sense of meaning, whether that's in a lack in emotional abundance, a lack in love, a lack in finances, a lack in confidence, anything of the sort. But to be quite honest, just with these themes that I'm picking up, this sounds a lot to me like abuse, right? And usually when things like, because I'm looking at the themes of this, right? And this isn't for every single person, you know, it's not for every single Scorpio, but it's like the themes that I'm seeing here, these are the same symptoms, so to speak, that tend to show up in, you know, adults that were like sexually abused as children, because there's a level of self-denial because, you know, when the abuse occurs, it creates like a dissension in the self, because there has to be like a deviation, because one part of you, which is the authentic self, becomes like the bad person, because it's like a tendency to blame oneself and say, you know, if I wasn't this, then this wouldn't have happened to me. So then that's like the automatic creation of the false self. And then the disassociation while like the abuse is happening is what causes one to be more cerebral, so existing more in the mind, and you kind of disconnect from your body and have a tendency to like abuse the body or neglect the body, or not to really be in tune with oneself because of that need to, you know, leave out of yourself in order to survive, because it's a survival skill, right? And when that happens, the way that the psyche has to rationalize it in order to survive is the belief like, I'm a bad girl, bad boy, right? So that's the root of the lack mentality, or the belief in scarcity, because it's the thought of I'm bad and I'm not good, right? And, or I'm scarred, or I'm broken, I'm unfixable, things of the sort. And that ultimately becomes a core belief. So when this person grows up into an adult, regardless of how successful one is, or if one's like, oh, that happened a long time ago, so on and so forth, underneath all of that is a distorted identity, being disconnected from the body, and false core beliefs about oneself. And that tends to hold us back, because it's difficult to come into alignment with the life that you want when you have a lot of these things that are kind of combating you on the back end, so to speak. So the most important thing about all of this, because y'all know I'm into symbolism and things, so I look at the fact that these cards that are all interconnected, there's 4 of them, which to me speaks of the old faulty foundation upon which the life was built. The 5th card, 5 being a number that symbolizes major transformations and changes, is surrendering to miracles. And the miracle that I believe that Scorpio is going to be surrendering to in the month of December is that it's possible to heal from each and every one of these things, to break up this faulty foundation and to rebuild a new one, with this being the cornerstone, so to speak, right? The belief that one can heal, the belief that what you've been through doesn't define who you are, you know? And also, because I know that's really deep and really touchy, but for those of you who didn't experience that, listen to the essence and the framework of what I described, because anything that you're struggling with, any false core beliefs or past traumas or what have you that are holding you back in your life, the framework of what I described, the byproduct is the same. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be something as serious as sexual abuse, but I mean, it could be emotional neglect. You know what I mean? It could be being the child of an addict. You know, it could be losing, you know, a loved one or anything, whatever. It's like whatever it is that causes wounds in a person, it's like the framework is the same, you know? Anything that we experience, especially as children, because kids need to survive, right? So you're going to, and that's why a lot of times, believe it or not, when a person is traumatized, right, it's like there's a lack of development past the age that the person was traumatized. So that's why sometimes you could see people in their 40s who have like tantrums, you know? It's like grown-up tantrums, like flipping tables and shit, you know? Someone who just completely loses it. And that's usually because you become emotionally stunted at that age. So the person can grow and mature in different areas, but when it comes to how to develop their emotions or express their emotions or process their emotions. They're typically stunted at the age that they were traumatized by whatever, you know. But that got real heavy real quick. But it was important nonetheless. So the key is here is a need to take a glimpse at those things about the self, right? That you've been carrying for probably decades that are no longer useful to you, you know? And you know, I always say it, if ever you feel like what you're dealing with, especially, and it's two things, especially if you're dealing with being a survivor of any form of sexual abuse, not just if you were abused as a child, but I mean, rape can even qualify for this, you know, as an adult. But I always suggest that you guys seek therapy because it's good for you. Even if you feel like you don't have problems. We're cool people, and we have really funny jokes. One that I'm going to tell you right now. How many therapists does it take to change a light bulb? None, because the light bulb has to want to change itself. Is that not hilarious? It is, I know. But it's just about facing truth this month and just erasing those things that are no longer serving you, those perceptions of the self. So if you guys have Scorpio, let me get my life together. If you guys have Pisces in your chart, I would suggest you watch that reading. Even if you don't have Pisces in your chart, I would suggest that you watch that reading because it was really, it got really deep over there, you know? Let Spirit give us clear and direct guidance for my Scorpios, anything that they're struggling with this month, any insight that they need this month, and the Strength card just fell out of my deck. So there may be a need to cultivate some inner strength here, a little self-control, and that may be in relation to thinking patterns. Clear and direct guidance for my Scorpios, please, Spirit. I ask that anything of utmost importance be revealed in this reading, Spirit, and that you offer me the ability to give them clear and direct guidance that will assist them on their overall path of growth and healing, please, Spirit. I thank you in advance. But yeah, man, I feel a very heavy energy, though. It feels very, very heavy. Oh, that was what I was saying. I always suggest going to therapy for anyone. It's not about being crazy or loony or kooky or anything of the sort. You know what I mean? Especially if you're dealing with something that heavy. And then another good book, and I'll add that to the Amazon store, is The Courage to Heal, as well as the workbook, because I use that with a lot of my clients as well. But that's like a really great book to kind of help you work through it if in the event you're, you know, in a place right now where you can't afford to see a therapist. My eye red? I'm sorry, y'all. Central energy. This is really heavy. Like, I feel like we have the Seven of Pentacles. This is challenged by the Justice card. This is interesting. So, this is interesting. The first thing that comes to me is, and I guess it kind of throws me off because this is more of an Eight of Pentacles energy, but it's more or less like putting time, energy, and effort into something and waiting for things to change, right? And they're not changing, and kind of making the decision to kind of leave with what you came with type of deal. A great deal of you may sense this energetically, but haven't quite either gotten up the courage to leave, whatever this is, because, you know, it's general, so this could be anything. This could be something that's going on inside of you, you know? It could be leaving an old way of being behind, an old way of seeing the world, or trying to put effort into a relationship or even a job, because it's something that you've put work into and expected to see something come out of it, but you feel like it hasn't. So you're kind of on the fence of trying to decide if it's in your best interest to leave. But for some of you, before I say that, let me finish turning over these cards, because I feel like if I say that now, that would confuse you guys. Past influence is the Two of Pentacles. So this kind of makes sense why the Strength card came out. It's like past tense. It was still kind of in this energy you guys are in now. It's like, should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go? And knowing that you really couldn't go anywhere until you made a decision and put your feet down. But I think it's kind of like being in a place where, although you have invested a great deal, it's not so much to the point where if you walked away, it would necessarily hurt. You know what I'm saying? And this is a really horrible example, but it's kind of like if you married someone and you've only been married for 3 months and you're trying to make this decision and you didn't have a big, huge wedding, you just went to the justice of the peace. It's kind of like, you know, yeah, I invested 3 months of my life. I could cut my losses now, you know, or I could stick it out. But it's kind of like whether you decided to stay or go, it would suck, but it's not like it's been 30 years of your life type of deal. I know it's a really terrible example to just make marriage seem so tossed away, but just listen to the essence. But I feel like this is something you guys have been battling with within yourself for some time now. But what it's looking like to me with this justice as the challenge, that whatever direction, because it's almost as if like I'm sensing it as if a person makes a decision, right? Like, and I'm saying like right now, today, you watching this video and you made a decision like 5 minutes before you clicked on it, right? But I feel like as soon as you put your foot out to go in whichever direction is when justice shows up and like backslaps you into wherever you were supposed to go in the event that you chose the wrong path, if that makes sense. What's below? I know you lying to me. What's below you is the Strength card, so the Strength card really wanted to come out because it fell out of my deck and now it's at the bottom. Okay. So your below energy is a Strength card, so yeah. The key is here, it's a need to make a sober decision. And not necessarily saying that, you know, you're on some type of substance. If you are, maybe it would help to make a sober decision or make a decision when you're sober. But anyway, this could also, of course, involve a Leo person or a Libra person. But I really feel like this is about you guys. Wow. That's beautiful. Well, from what I heard, what this is really about, it's like stepping into your truth. So all of the stuff I talked about in the very beginning is very relevant here because this is like a breakthrough. You know what I'm saying? So when I talked about surrendering to your belief in miracles, it's the belief in the miracle of yourself being restored and renewed through faith and truth, which is ironic because that was the motto for my Bible study group when I taught Bible study back in the day. But it's about that rebirth of the authentic self. You know what I'm saying? It's like taming the beast through love, not through aggression. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at this Two of Pentacles, and I'm seeing the two and how it looks like a little gateway here. And then I'm seeing justice, and I see justice as like almost like the masculine energy form of like the high priestess, right? So it's almost making this manifest, like what is existing underneath it all. So it's almost like a reconciliation within the self. So it's not killing off the it's like, okay, it's not and it's never about killing off the wounded inner child. It's about loving the beast, loving the ugly, loving the dark, right? And through love, the ugly, the beast is transformed. The beast comes into submission through love, so to speak. So the parts of ourselves that, you know, we hate the most, or that we dislike, or we disdain, or the parts of our past that we wish that we could erase, that we wish weren't us, that we wish we didn't have to go through, the things that we don't want to identify with, the shadow, right? Those parts of ourselves that we project onto everyone else subconsciously, the things that are at the root of the individuals or the groups for which we hold grave disdain and can't even understand why. It's like, why don't you like people like that? I don't know, I just don't like them, right? Because the truth of the matter is the fact that everything that we see in everyone else exists in us. Because if it didn't, we wouldn't be able to recognize it. So for every fault we can point out in another, that same fault exists in us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to see it. You know what I mean? And that's what's at the root of playing hide and seek with ourselves. So this is like shadow integration. You know what I mean? It's like instead of trying to outrun it, it's facing it. This is a lot like how Pisces was. It's not outrunning it, it's facing it. But it's no battle, right? So if we got really theatrical with this and we looked at this as like the battle between good and evil, right? It wouldn't be a battle. It would be a love fest. You know what I mean? And a lot of people ask me what that's about. Bed Peace. It's an ode to John Lennon for one, but it's a political statement of another variation of make love, not war. It's a variation of sit-ins that they did in the 60s, which were bed-ins, you know? And it's like you stay in bed, you let your hair grow long, and protest against war, right? So it's bed peace, and the other one I have that I don't have up, it says hair peace. But this is like that ultimate battle, but it not being a battle, it being a love fest, and the fact that as opposed to coming into opposition with the darkness, it's embracing it and allowing it to envelop you, and that being what births the light, so to speak. In your above energy is the Ten of Cups. Oh, that's so beautiful. This is like another little cycle that's ending, which is so freaking beautiful. So with this, you can't choose wrong, regardless of what it is you've been grappling with. If you were afraid of making the wrong decision, it's like if you don't get backslapped back into another path, then just take that as you made the right decision. But with justice coming in, it's balancing everything out. You know what I'm saying? To get you to where it is you're supposed to be. And dude, this is so funny because I've been sensing this. I've said it in almost all of the readings that 2019 is I don't even think you guys could begin to fathom what 2019 is going to be for you. Because it's going to be so amazingly good. And I said before, it's going to be so life altering that you guys are going to wake up in your lives. And I mean this for the whole collective. You guys are going to wake up in your lives and you won't even recognize your own life. So it's like, I say it's the year of fruition. Everything, like just like this card, like you are about to reap everything you've ever sowed. And the reason why you became tired, and this is a lot like what I heard for Cancer as well, it's being soul tired because I put in so much time, energy, and effort to no avail, you know? And the desire to walk away is because I've done this for so long and nothing has ever come of it. I've tried to be optimistic. I've tried to be positive. I've tried to, try to rationalize why it's never happened for me, And that's at the root of the desire to walk away, right? But it's like now there's a marriage that's happening within, It's almost the equivalent of like your higher self, so the whole self, being rebirthed in you, expressing itself through your personality, right? And it getting all of its just due, And I talked about that. I can't remember what video it was. I really have a lot of stuff I need to post. But I talked about that. I think that might have been Virgo's video from last month. But it's just you drawing things to you at your authentic frequency, if that makes sense. So the authentic self that was hidden and made to think it was the shadow, right? And that's really what the battle's about. It's about seeing the truth. It's the authentic self from whatever wound all of us experienced in childhood. The person that we shrouded in shame and locked away, and the false self that we built up and that we most often exist as until this present day. It's the realization that the false self has been thinking it ran the show, but it's coming to the realization that the shadow is the true authentic self and needs to be embraced, right? The moment that happens, you integrate, you become one, and you manifest everything that you ever dreamed of without lifting a finger. Whoa. What's before you is the Eight of Cups. Now that's funny. Because I legit said, this is so funny because this feels like Eight of Cups energy. Well, it was here. That's very interesting. That's been happening to me a lot today. It just lets me know the whole little synchronicity thing going on here. Like, we're in the right place. It's about to get real, people. But anywho. And then you have 2 8s. Interesting. This is so interesting. But, wow. This is crazy. And then you got an 11 and 11. Dog, this is insane. I just need you to believe that miracles are possible because you're about to see more miracles that I think you may have ever seen in your time in this particular incarnation. But this card is about ascending to a higher state of being. This is, you looking back at this is like trash. I'm just being real. All of this hard work and effort, that's why I was saying that whole thing of like being married for 3 months, because it's kind of like, yeah, it's just 3 months. It's really not that much of a loss, But this is not even caring. And it takes so much courage and #strength to do what the person does in the Eight of Cups. Because it says, I don't care about how much time, energy, or effort I invested into this. The reason why it's so easy to leave it behind is because they know this is no longer in alignment with them. And they're going out in search of something better. But the beautiful thing about this is it's not really a search because they're being guided. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going out in hopes of maybe, quite possibly, if I'm lucky, getting something getting something better. It's knowing without the shadow of a doubt that they're going to something better. And the reason why is because they're attuned and they're in alignment and they're being led, right? So all of these things to them no longer have value. It doesn't matter the time and energy that went into them. They know that what they're going to is so much greater than what they left behind that it literally, not saying in a literal sense that, like, you know, whatever it is you leave behind, not saying that they're trash, literally, but, you know, figure of speech here, right? So they're being called to a higher state of being, something that has more value, right? Now notice this is a Cups card, right? This is the Pentacles. So this is leaving the tangible, right? So this is living in the 3D, being concerned with, you know, external types of things, success and money and accolades and things of the sort, right? Having this huge realization of someone's truth about who they are, them now attuning to this energy of abundance, and now taking the physical steps to go in the direction of that. So now all of these things they hold no weight. So it's like they're making the steps, moving on to higher heights in a greater state of being. So it's more or less manifesting your spiritual state, your inner state, now manifesting that into the physical realm. So it's a rebirth and a complete new life, a new way of being. And what better time to do this than in December? So you guys are going into, that's interesting, I accidentally picked that up. The second chakra, maybe that's of some relevance to you. I accidentally picked it up out of my other deck. But what better time to do this than at a time that we're going into a new year? It's like I feel like you guys are going to be walking into a completely new life, which is beautiful. It's amazing. I'm excited for you. I like how, to go back and watch this is so funny. I think it's hilarious how it's coming out of my mouth. So just like, oh, you know, you're just going to completely transform, you know. But it's like, this is so heavy and so serious, but it's even funny to me at the fact that it's coming out so monotone. It's like, yeah, so you're going to be a higher version of yourself, you know. Your entire life's going to change, you know. You're going to see the miraculous made manifest on earth, you know. But, yeah, so that's life. So, the oracle cards that you guys have, the first one is the Mountain Goat. And it says, there's something out of balance in your life, so do whatever you need to do to correct it. That's this right here. Don't fear making a step because you can't make the wrong one. So like I said, you know, correct it. If you make the wrong choice, justice is just going to slap you back on the right path, right? Peacock. Let yourself stand out and be noticed. Yes, because I want to meet this person. They're going to be magnanimous, doing all kinds of weird, you know, Scorpio-like creepy, you know, turning water into wine kind of stuff. Walrus. Remain vigilant about the current situation. Pay attention to signs and omens and let them dictate your choices. Signs and omens. It's like all of the synchronicity that we got on Princess's table right now. And Strength card fall out and then coming in here and then feeling the 8. Okay, you know, you were here. Next, we have the gorilla. Ooh, 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 ooh. Bananas. Take the time to listen compassionately to those you love, especially your family members. Very, very interesting. There could be some healing that could happen here. Either it's going to be when the shift happens for you. It's you seeing things that your family members have said in a different light. Or it's you having the courage to speak to family members about you know, what you've experienced with no expectations. And I always give that forewarning, because a lot of times we go to speak to people in hopes that they'll validate things that we feel like we're at the root of a lot of negative experiences in our life. And sometimes people don't want to face their own truth, and they end up invalidating us, you know? So I always say that whenever we decide to speak to family about things that we feel have affected us, to not have any expectations, you know, in the event that, you know, they aren't ready to receive what you have to say. But Scorpio, that has been your December 2018 general reading. Your love reading will be coming up next. I mean, not like literally next, but very soon, because you guys are my last sign to do. So, my sweet precious Scorpio, I hope that this reading helped, and I will see you sooner than later, my dear. Deuces.